Hey guys, Roshank here, and I'm actually doing something a little bit different and bringing you guys a review of Fairy Tail Chapter 476. And it has been so long since I've said that. I think it's been like a year since my last Fairy Tail review. But nonetheless, this chapter was honestly just so damn good that I had to say at least something about it. And also, there's something interesting I was thinking about with regards to a potential missed opportunity in this chapter. And also, I want to discuss some speculation for the future. And if that sounds confusing right now, you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about later in the video. So, first things first, as for a rating for this chapter, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 9.5 out of 10. And to be honest, the only reason why it isn't a 10 out of 10 is because I personally don't think a chapter can ever be perfect. I don't think anything can be perfect in general. So I always hesitate to give a 10 out of 10 rating. So this is pretty much as high as I'll ever rate a chapter, 9.5 out of 10. I mean, there were just so many good things in this chapter. So let's go and start with the Cheria versus Demaria fight, which was obviously the centerpiece of this chapter. So Cheria versus Demaria is pretty much the perfect matchup. You've got the overconfident god versus the god slayer, of course, in Cheria. Another great thing is that Cheria is freaking hot as an adult. She looked great. In all seriousness, her design was great, and Demaria's design was badass. To be honest, I wasn't a massive fan of her design before the takeover. I mean, it wasn't bad necessarily, but it wasn't great either, and I wasn't really a big fan of her as a villain before the takeover. But after she did that God Soul takeover, holy crap, did my opinion of her just completely change. She's badass. She's powerful as hell. And one of the only qualms I have this chapter was that the fight was so short. I wanted to see more of Demaria's badassery and more of Cheria's badassery, because this fight was probably the best fight that we've had so far in this arc. So I guess one of my only qualms with the chapter is I really wish that Hero had sort of extended this fight. And then, of course, I need to talk about Hero throwing in old Altair at the end, because that was great. Honestly, the whole situation with Altair, initially I thought she was back for good, and I was a little bit upset about that, but the way Hero handled the situation was just amazing. Fairy Tail has been delivering pretty well recently, in my opinion. It's been delivering pretty well. I mean, Fairy Tail definitely does have its problems, but Hero hasn't really been letting me down recently. It's sort of this, slow build-up. I mean, the fights at the beginning were not that great, and the fights have just been getting better and better and better, and I'm really excited for the future here. Also, to talk about one more very, very minor problem I had, the whole situation with Wendy thinking that she got Third Origin when she really didn't was just a little bit awkward and sort of weird. I understand what Hero was trying to do there, but I feel like it could have been executed a little bit better, but that was so minor. Honestly, like I said, phenomenal chapter overall. Freaking phenomenal chapter. 9.5 out of 10, highest rating I'll ever give a chapter of any series. So now I want to transition to a slightly different topic, and what I want to talk about is that missed opportunity that I've referenced in the title, and also that I was referencing earlier in this video. So this missed opportunity sort of pertains to Wendy, and the possibility of future Wendy involved in fights in this arc. But let's go and think about this for a second. How strong, how much potential does Wendy have? Let's go and compare her to like Natsu, for instance. When Natsu was age 13, which I believe Wendy is 13 right now, plus or minus 1 year maybe, but nonetheless, Wendy's around 13. How strong was Natsu at age 13? Not even close to where Wendy is now. Wendy is on another level, and I still would argue that Natsu has more potential because he is END, and he still has yet to unlock a lot of his potential, but nonetheless, my point is that Wendy has a lot of potential, maybe the second most in the entire series behind Natsu. So what I thought Hero was going to do here is I thought he was going to have Third Origin be used on Wendy, turn her into future Wendy, and then have her go up against Acnologia. Because let's think about it right now. Who in the world, who on the battlefield right now can defeat Acnologia? There are a total of 3 people in my opinion. Natsu, Zaref, and August. Those are the only people who really have any shot in hell of standing up to Acnologia. But if you had future Wendy, that would put a 4th person in there. And the reason why I think this is such a great idea is that if you think about it, Fairy Tail's probably ending after this arc with the appearance of Acnologia. All of the major players are here, so Fairy Tail's probably done after this arc, which makes me think, does Wendy really need her powers after this arc since Fairy Tail's going to be over? From a plot point of view, from a character development point of view, and all that, I don't think she necessarily needs it because Fairy Tail's of course going to be ending. So if Wendy lost her powers and then Fairy Tail ended, it wouldn't be the end of the world. So of course using Third Origin on Wendy and then having her fight and potentially weaken Acnologia would be a great move in terms of the plot. Which is why when I saw Third Origin in the last chapter, I was so damn hyped, because I thought we were going to see future Wendy versus Acnologia, because we know Acnologia is hunting the Dragon Slayers, and he was probably going to go after another Dragon Slayer next, and he could have gone after Wendy, at least at some point he's going to go after Wendy, at the very least. And if future Wendy had been there, future Wendy versus Acnologia, Acnologia would still win, but future Wendy could potentially do some damage to him, and that would have been potentially the most epic fight in Fairy Tail, because I would argue that future Wendy is stronger than any character that's alive right now, other than Acnologia and potentially Zeref, because Zeref is freaking immortal, and you can't really beat that, but nonetheless, future Wendy would have been strong. So I was looking for Hero to pull out future Wendy and have her go up against Acnologia here. Unfortunately, we didn't get that in this chapter. Instead, we got Sharia versus Demaria, which was still an epic fight, and I will say that if Wendy had gone up against Demaria, Demaria probably would have been just wiped off the face of the earth, and we wouldn't really have gotten to see as much action with her. And I do like Demaria, she's a good character, so I suppose this was a good decision overall. Maybe this is me just fanboying over the potential of future Wendy appearing. Along the same line of thought, one thing that's really been bugging me recently is how in the blue hell are the members of Fairy Tail gonna defeat Acnologia given how freaking strong he is, because he's at least like 5 or 6 levels above anyone else on the battlefield right now, and that was evident when he one-shot God Serena. He one-shot God Serena without even using a legitimate attack. So given how strong God Serena is probably on par with August and Zeref. Actually, August and Zeref are definitely stronger, but he's at least close to their level. And August and Zeref are the two strongest mages, on the battlefield right now. So my question is, if Zeref and August probably cannot touch Acnologia, how in the world are the members of Fairy Tail even gonna manage against him? Like, I know Natsu has a ton of, hidden potential in the fact that he's END, but even then, the person who created him in Zeref, I question whether Zeref can stand up to Acnologia at this point. So how is Natsu gonna defeat him? I don't really know at this point. There's got to be some sort of major power-up. Probably Natsu's going to unite with Zeref and also some of the Spring and 12 to try and defeat Acnologia. But even still, I can't get it out of my head. There are going to be major deaths. Major characters are going to die here, and there's no escaping it, because Acnologia is too strong. If everyone on the battlefield united right now and went up against Acnologia, I question whether they would win at their current state. Obviously, Natsu can power up a little bit. Wendy also has a ton of potential, which is what I was thinking with that Third Origin thing, because if Wendy had used Third Origin, or excuse me, if Ultera had used Third Origin on Wendy, then things could have worked out a little bit better, because Wendy could potentially have fought Acnologia, maybe wounded him or something like that, and then Natsu could have swooped in for the kill after unlocking his END powers, or something like that. That was a horrible outline of what I was thinking, and that is exactly why I don't write manga. But nonetheless, I hope you guys see the point I'm trying to get at. That would have been cool if it had happened. And right now, I just question how the members of Fairy Tail are going to defeat Acnologia. Well, alright folks, that is pretty much going to do it for this video. I apologize if I rambled a lot in this video. That's what happens when you get 3 hours of sleep, folks. Gosh, midterms are just destroying me right now. I was doing this as a break, and I got into this entire rant and this Wendy versus Acnologia thing, so. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop me a like down below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Fairy Tail content in the future. The comment question of the day is, first of all, what did you think of this chapter? And second of all, how do you think Fairy Tail is going to deal with Acnologia? I don't have any specific ideas right now, but I really can't get past the thought that some major characters are going to die here. So anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video.